Hey there, Jessica. It's me, your old friend, Matt Skiba. How's it going?
Good to have you back. You're my third favorite Matt.
Well, that's what I'm here to talk to you about. I realized the other day that, like, my name's Matt, and Relient K's name is Matt, and they haven't recorded any new music. And I kind of got a thing going for coming along and helping popular bands keep going in a time of need. So I was wondering if one of them Matts isn't recording there.
Oh, well, I'm really glad you decided to come on our podcast because we definitely are the most foremost Relient K in the know people.
Oh, should I be going to Reliable J for this?
I'm not sleeping tonight. Sit back and watch the sunset work its magic in its own true light. I'm not sleeping tonight, so come on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sadie Hawkins Pod.
I missed Matt Skiba. I missed Santa Claus. I missed Matt Skiba.
You miss Denny every time.
Yeah. I don't see what Matt Skiba here has to do with the song we're doing this week, which is Sleepin' from Air for Free.
You know, you took the words right out of my mouth because I was just about to ask that question.
I don't know.
Well, no, you wouldn't know because you wandered off and he wandered in, and then you came back and he left, so...
Well, yes, we're back to Air for Free this week. We did have a voicemail, but we don't. We did have a voicemail from David Ketch, but something happened.
Oh, no!
It got zooked, even though Zuckerberg doesn't control Google Voice. Something happened.
That you know of.
Yeah, that I know of. For some reason, it didn't, record, so I don't know what happened there. And I DM'd him and said, hey, I think your voicemail... I'm double checking just in case, but I let him know I think something happened with the voicemail, and he didn't get call back. So whatever he was letting us know, yep, no calls. So no voicemails. We did have some emails.
Nice.
We have a new patron, but they won't be mentioned in this week's commercial. We'll get them in next week's commercial and next week's thank you.
Yeah, that's what your $5 a month is going towards. Indifference.
Okay, so Joel K. Polk, he emailed us to say, just listen to your Gloria episode. I used to listen to this song on my iPod before I got better taste in music. I definitely still like the bridge, though. Anyway, I think Gloria is the name of the hippo in Madagascar. So whenever I listen to the song, I picture the Moto Moto scene from the second movie for some reason. And did you ever watch the Madagascar movies?
No.
I had a very staunch anti-DreamWorks animated take back in the day. Because, first of all, a lot of them just suck. A lot of them just flat out suck, you know? It's not like Pixar, but also like DreamWorks. There's so many things. I don't talk about animation as much nowadays, but I've used to be huge into animation, anime, CGI, traditional animation. I would watch anything animation, and I've gotten a little bit into it again recently, where I found a bunch of YouTube channels that specifically talk about any kind of animation. So I've got a little bit back into it, but I had these very specific takes on DreamWorks animated films because they're Spielberg, Geffen, and Katzenberg. So Katzenberg was like, yeah, 2D animation's dead. 2D in the early 2000s after Road to El Dorado.
I was gonna say
that famous animated film, Road to Perdition, which I think was also a DreamWorks film. But after Road to El Dorado, or one of those movies that didn't make enough money, they were like, yeah, 2D animation is dead. Katzenberg was like, 2D animation is just dead. No one wants 2D animation anymore. So DreamWorks is all 3D animation from now on, which never made sense because television animation never 100% went to CGI. The top cartoons on television have often and always back then always remained 2D animation, and nowadays it's still 50-50. What were you gonna say? Remember what?
Remember Road to El Dorado? Wow, I remember that being a major bust at the time. I remember it getting a lot of flack.
It's got a cult now. It's got a really strong cult of like people who are now,
Sure.
20s and
Yeah.
late teens and adults who were raised on that movie and like its sense of humor. And I guess that the girl in that has a lot of, what's that, rule whatever number? Like the female in that is very sexual in the movie, like in the canon.
Gotcha.
So like add that to like people
Like
being obsessed with
Hunchback
her
of
online.
Notre Dame.
There you go, just like that. But anyway, so I was very upset with DreamWorks for that, and the fact that like and I've always been on this, the fact that DreamWorks pushes like their celebrity voices, whereas Pixar never does that. Pixar's like, we make good stories, we work on visuals to like match those stories, and that's what we do. But DreamWorks is like, we got all these celebrities, and then like the last 2 minutes of a trailer, just a list of celebrities. Like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
This is what we do now. You send us a voicemail or
An
email, and then we like tear down your favorite things.
Well, I'm not tearing down Madagascar. I've never seen it. All I'm saying is that because I was staunchly anti DreamWorks, I never watched the Madagascar movies. Here's the Moto Moto scene that Joel was talking about from. So this could be now on our social media. I said, wait a second, maybe Gloria is actually a euphemism for Sonic the Hedgehog. 'Cause it's like you got. Did you not see that post I made?
No.
I made a post where because the words are, you got your fast moves, you got your 1-2s.
Right.
I can never let down my guard. And I had a picture of Sonic like running fast, and a picture of Sonic on a DJ set, and a picture of Sonic doing a spin attack. My theory after the podcast is Gloria might just be actually about Sonic the Hedgehog. But maybe Gloria is about the female hippo from Madagascar too. Here's the scene.
Look out! I think Moto Moto likes you. Here he comes.
I like 'em big, I like 'em chunky, I like 'em big, I like 'em lumpy, I like 'em round, with something, they like my sound, they think I'm funky. Goodness, girl, you huge.
Who's your friends? Or is that your buzz?
Girl, you was quick.
What do you think, Jess? Is this finally going to get you into cartoons? Because you're not really into animation with me. It's two hippos.
You're right. That hippo really is over-sexualized.
So, yeah, see? Man, what was I missing not watching DreamWorks movies back in their day? Where it's just two hippos, like, very blatantly just coming on to each other sexually. Can you imagine? One of my big things, and I watched a recent DreamWorks movie. I watched the Peabody. We'll get into the song in just a second. But I watched the Peabody and Sherman movie because I used to love Rocky and Bullwinkle as a kid. I loved Rocky and Bullwinkle, and Peabody and Sherman was like a side cartoon to that show. So I wanted to watch the Peabody and Sherman CGI movie from DreamWorks. There's a sequence in that movie where, because Peabody, the joke is that Mr. Peabody is a dog and he's got a boy, which is like an invert. It's not like instead of a boy having a dog, the dog has the boy, and the boy is basically his son. Like Mr. Peabody is a well-to-do dog who's like smart and a scientist and stuff. There's a sequence where he has some parents over of other kids from the school, and he like mixes them drinks. And the camera, he's like just there he's a little CGI dog with a mixer, mixing up cocktails, and the camera is flying in and out and up and down and over and under and sideways and round. And I'm like, there's nothing happening. Like from a very I'm not an animation director, but from a very like basic principle of animation, like it's just a CGI dog shaking a drink mixer. And you're doing all these crazy camera moves because nothing is happening. And you're trying to make it make sense. Like, I'm very much of the opinion that a camera shouldn't do much more than in an animation than a real camera can do. Except when it's really called for. You know what I mean? Like...
Sure.
Yeah,
like that opening to Trolls. The Trolls movie.
Right, how the camera just flies in and out of
Yeah.
everything. And it's like... if you made your camera do, because Brad Bird understood this. I remember in Welcome to the Anime, whatever. I remember in the commentary for Incredibles, Brad Bird. This is probably where I even learned this, but he was like, I don't want my camera to do stuff that's too impossible in a real world setting. Jesse, wake up. You shouldn't be sleeping tonight because we're talking about sleeping. Now, if anyone got bored with my just talking about DreamWorks and animated films and everything, I did it on purpose to help you sleep. Do you know why I picked this song this week?
Because we've been having trouble sleeping.
Exactly. We've been having a lot of insomnia recently.
We have. I mean, that's just my normal, though. Like, It's odd when I do sleep well. But Danny is a good sleeper.
Well, sometimes, but I haven't been sleeping recently. I also picked this song because when I looked at our spreadsheet, I realized we have not been picking Air for Free enough recently. Air for Free is the album that we're the most behind on, which is nice because that means we have a lot of Air for Free ahead of us. But when we started this podcast in the first year, we were steadily picking Air for Free songs, and for some reason in the last year, we haven't been picking that many Air for Free songs.
Thank you, Joel K or Joel. Thank you
Joel K. Polk
for your email and for your patronage.
Yes. Oh wait, he's the new patron.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Jessica told me we had a new patron and we needed to redo the commercial, but I was like, nah. I mean, yes, we need to redo the commercial, but we'll do it next week. So Joel, thank you very much for signing up for Patreon, or Joel K. So let's see, Sleepin'.
Yes.
It's a good song. It's a nice song.
So when we first started this podcast, Danny, do you remember how I had a whiteboard?
Yes.
With 4 song titles on it that I wanted to get to sooner rather than later.
And I think we got to most of them soon. We held this one back.
Yes. We
got to Pink Tux.
Yeah, it was Fallen Out, In Love with the 80s, Sleepin', and Mountaintop.
Okay, well,
so we've got 2 out of 4 down.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to burn all the fun stuff right away. I wanted to leave.
Are you saying those are Relient K's only fun songs?
Those are their only 4 fun songs, and we got to save those for later. Fallen Out is a song that I swear we've done, but we haven't.
No.
I'm thinking of something else that's a similar song, but who knows? Sleepin'. So this song, when we talked to John Schneck on the Be Your Man episode, and he had to, he said, he had listened to Air for Free a little bit, but he didn't, listen to it a ton and didn't know the album. But then later he told us that his son had listened to it more. Mm-hmm. And I said, and one of our questions for him was, do you know why on Forget Not Slow Down, there's all those little tracks, there's so many cut up track numbers, and when you really put together the intros and the outros and the interludes, it's only about 9 songs or something like that. And he was basically said what we assumed it was just playing around with the format of a CD in the twilight of the CD being a thing that anyone cared about. And I said how on Air for Free there were similar things that they probably would have done a Forget Not Slow Down type thing with breaking them up into intros and outros. Mm-hmm. This is one of the songs I was thinking of. There's another song on Air for Free I was also thinking of, but this specifically has this intro, this outro, and I feel like if this had been, 6 years, 7 years earlier, Sleepin' and, Tired, it would have been like Dozy or Sleepy or whatever. It would have been the intro and the outro tracks, and they would have been separated off.
I actually was wondering if it wasn't more the opposite, because this song is sequenced on both the vinyl and the digital, which have 2 different sequencings, as the follow-up to Mountaintop.
Right.
And so I was wondering if they were meant to actually be all together, if it was one long Twin Peaks The Return song.
Right.
And if they just split it up or what it was.
Right, because more than anything on Forget Not Slow Down, it reminds us of Savannah, the Savannah suite, with Baby and whatever the other part of, and Savannah and Oasis, thank you. So more than anything, the fact that this has these 3 main movements makes me think of the Savannah Suite.
Right.
So yeah, it's like sometimes when we first started listening to this album and this part, the opening sequence would start, I would forget that it's Sleepin'. You know, I would think this is like, it felt like two songs. But it's not. It's Sleepin'. It's all Sleepin' together in one big track.
This song reminds me so much of Theme from The Search for Everything by John Mayer. And I think that I mentioned that when, like, back, like, in our first ever Air for Free episode.
Right.
They're very similar and very beautiful, and this actually came out, like, a year before that song.
I was about to say, I was looking at
Yeah.
the release date, so that's funny, yeah. Yeah, because I remember that is a thing, and he used it as, like, the credit sequence of his live show.
Yeah.
John Mayer did.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
So this song is like one of the songs on Air for Free that really made me like reevaluate the album, because when this album first came out, we were just kind of like, oh, cool, new Relient K, and like listened to it and didn't really get into it. And then when we were finally kind of getting into it, when I sat down with it, it was like Sleepin' was one of the songs that I was really, really drawn to.
Yeah, sort of around the tour. Mm-hmm. Because I think we'd both been like, we didn't, now, not to get back into a collapsible lung discussion, but I think we have to have a little collapsible lung discussion for what I want to talk about, is like, you and I weren't burnt on collapsible lung, because when we just gave collapsible lung its preliminary listen back in 2013, we were just both kind of like, oh, this is what they went with? Okay. And then we didn't really listen to the album again after that.
Yeah.
That was our experience with collapsible lung at the time. And it wasn't until doing this podcast that we really had to delve back into collapsible lung and directly address our specific feelings on that album. Maybe when Air for Free came out, Jessica and I kind of like had that same preliminary caution of listening to Air for Free and hearing that there's these pop elements in here. And to spoil the point of what I'm making is, it's a great album. It's an amazing album. But to just come at it from that like feeling of like, oh, is this just going to be another thing like Collapsible Lung? And then on a first listen, you might hear some of these more poppy elements, these things that don't sound like Forget and Not Slow Down or earlier, and think, oh, this is just Collapsible Lung Part 2. And then kind of toss it aside, kind of not really listen to it. So when Air for Free first came out, we weren't really listening to it. Then the tour was happening. We're like, okay, we're going to the tour. Let's get a little bit more familiar with some of these songs. We didn't really have time to live with them and really be excited about them when they were played live. Then it was after the tour. We were like, oh my gosh, right before we started doing this podcast, we were like, oh my God, this album's actually amazing.
We realized we were sleeping.
We were sleeping on Air for Free.
This is just such a happy song. Like, I don't know. We've talked about this before, where I have this playlist of like songs that just like immediately like turn my mood around, and Mountaintop and Sleepin' are both on that playlist.
Nice. Yeah, this is a really positive, happy, fun song.
It is. And it's got there's sort of this like a cute element to it that is reminiscent of like earlier Relient K.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And this also kind of like is one of the prime songs to me that kind of delivers on what Collapsible Lung could have been. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, this is a song that like, if you like, I don't know, it's hard to, I think people get what I'm saying, but it's like, if Collapsible Lung, if that's the direction that they really wanted to go in, specifically Matt Thiessen and Hoops wanted to go in with Collapsible Lung, like, you kind of wish this had been the album. You know what I mean? These had been the songs. So this is such a nice song that I feel like could be on the radio, like could take over the airwaves and be this whole other chapter for Relient K, no longer as like a specifically pop rock band, but like as more of a pop group.
You think that this would be there would be a radio edit of this though, where they got rid of all of the really long intro and it's just the last bit?
Yeah, probably. Or they would send that CD. Like, I've had so many different radio things over the years where like songs like this have like CDs that are meant for the radio station, and they have multiple versions so they can pick whatever version they want to play. Like, I had the Brain Stew radio CD where it had Brain Stew, just Brain Stew with the fade out at the end, and then Brain Stew with the fade into Jaded.
Oh, nice.
Right? Yeah.
This is there. So there's an effect on the vocals, and I don't know if you would call it like auto-tune. I don't know if it's that or not, but this is like this is like the only time that I find the use of that, like a sort of distorted vocal in that auto-tune nature, acceptable with Relient K, because it's really, really subtle, and the song is already so dreamlike that it complements it. It's not like the next track on the digital version, which is Empty House, where it's like cranked up to 100 and detracts from the cohesiveness of the lyrics.
Which is funny because even though Empty House is the next song on the sequence of the streaming and the CD, it's not on the record. It's Flower.
Right.
Flower's the next song. Where is Empty House on? Hold on. We have the record right here.
I think it's pretty early, actually.
No, it's on side. So Sleepin' is side D. Like, this is the record winding down. Mountaintop, Sleepin', Flower, and Heartache are side D, the final side. Side C is Air for Free, God, Prodigal, and Empty House.
Oh, okay. So they have it as the... Oh, right.
Yeah.
I thought it was earlier for some reason.
Well, you can go to Spotify and search out Air for Free Vinyl, and Jessica created the Spotify playlist. I didn't find it. Maybe it exists somewhere. I think maybe Relient K has an official vinyl playlist, but for some reason it wasn't coming up in searches. I don't know what they called it. But if you type in Air for Free Vinyl on Spotify, it should come up now, and I guess you'll either find Jessica's or you'll find
The official
K,
one?
the official one. But I was trying to find it on Spotify, and it wasn't coming up through playlist search.
Yeah, and I had made it over on Apple Music when I was on Apple Music, and just had never recreated that same playlist on Spotify, or thought to look for it in the couple months that I've been over on Spotify.
Gotcha. Well, there are some annotations for this song on Genius.
Oh boy.
Just a few, not too many.
Are they going to tell us what butter lettuce salad is?
No, but I can talk to us about butter lettuce salad. Oh, and one of the annotations is Dave Douglas played drums in the recording of this track. Per Drums on Air for Free. What is this? This is the article. Oh, so per a Reddit post. Well, yeah, because I never really noticed, but it says in the credit list for Air for Free. I've never looked at the credit on the back. I've never looked at the credits on the physical Air for Free. Mm-hmm. But Dave Douglas drummed on this album, which I don't think I ever really realized. Like, yes, I knew he was part of the tour, but I kind of would have thought, if you asked me 2 hours ago, I would have thought that, like, someone else drummed on the album, or someone else, like, studio musician drummed on the album, and then they got Dave Douglas to get back on tour with them for Air for Free, for Looking for America. But no, Dave Douglas is back, and for some reason they felt genius Doug Bowen 4 years ago felt the need to just annotate overall to the song that's what that's about. That's what this is about. So Doug Bowen also says, with an intro that moves us from daytime into the night, Sleepin' appears to portray a mentally exhausted or desperately reminiscent Matt, recalling random memories in the middle of the night. As his hopes of finding love grow shallower, he realizes
this is not an annotation. This is a theory.
Keep him awake at night. That's a complete theory, yeah.
And also, disagree. Because what is nightmarish about this? This just sounds
not
like...
nightmare. No. It moves from day into night.
Okay, I can accept that. But this is definitely, like, about someone who's, like, in love and, like, thinking about them. And, you know, when you're, like, in love and you just can't eat, can't sleep because you're just thinking about that person.
And you text and you're like, hey, boo, you up?
Exactly. Like, I'm not sleeping tonight, so come on over.
That's kind of another slight reason why this has that collapsible lung feel through this nicer Air for Free lens, is the fact that, like, this is not like a song about getting it on, but someone can read it that way. The fact that it's like, I'm not sleeping tonight, so come on over, like, it is presented as very innocent in this song, and I'm not trying to detract from that, but the "Hey, you up" text is a cliche that everybody knows.
How do you know that this wasn't just Thiessen texting Hoops like, "Hey man, you up?" and they went off and had like a bro date?
That's nice. It could be. I remember one time my friends, and I've talked about them, my friend Johnny, my main Relient K friend, and my friend Jeff, who is my best man, I talked about him as well. One time I was up late at night, and this is like 1999, 2000. I was up, I was in the basement of our house using the internet, like not sleeping. Totally not sleeping tonight. The next day, I get a call from Johnny or Jeff saying like, "Oh, we came by your house last night because we were like up and driving around and having fun, and we didn't know how to like knock on the door and pick you up and like get you to come in the car." I was like, I was awake.
Yeah, that's
like
funny.
I would have, because I didn't have a bunch of those like teen movie things where you and a bunch of friends get in the car and just drive around and act goofy all night long. And I was like, I was awake.
Like
I was,
all I did.
yeah, I was like looking at anime message boards and the 5 Iron Frenzy board. Like I would have gone outside. I was probably still dressed. I probably wasn't even in pajamas. So yeah, maybe there's not. Well, we can look at the lyrics, but I'm wondering, is there anything in here that says it's specifically a romantic relationship, or could it just be a friendship?
I want
relationship?
there to be a music video where Hoops and Thiessen are just like skipping through some flowers, and then they're just like standing in the kitchen making a salad together.
Right. So Albert Kleppen 4 years ago annotated the line, "This spring is going to be the best one since 1981." And they wrote, "Matt Thiessen was born in the fall of 1980, so the spring of 81 would have been his first spring." Which is true, but, like, how does that fit the lyrics? I don't know, because the spring is going to be the best one since 1981. He wouldn't remember the spring of 1981. That wouldn't mean anything to him.
Well, it's what they've all been saying.
So then who was all? Who were the all that have been saying that? It's like, everyone's been saying the spring of 81 was the best spring. I don't do a 45 impression very well, but you know what I'm saying,
I
right?
thought
Like,
you were trying to be Bernie Sanders.
no.
So.
Oh, yeah, I did sound more like Bernie Sanders. Sorry. No, I was trying to do a 45 impression, but I'm just saying, like, the weasel word of, like, everyone's been saying it. All have been saying it. Like, who's been saying it? Now, to have said it's a weasel word, I feel bad for what I'm about to say, but is it Matt Thiessen's parents? Are they saying the spring of 1981 was the best spring ever because you, little Maddie, were just less than a year old and we loved it? He was still an infant. There's no way he remembers it. You know what I mean? I feel like, is this just like a thing? Is it just a fun thing? Like, think about the past. Think about the memories. How would Matt Thiessen himself remember the spring of 1981? He wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, here's a question. Is this fanciful or is it literal Thiessen? Because if it's literal, maybe he heard like an older person say that. They're like, or he saw like an almanac. You know how like they have those farmers' almanacs or
Right.
whatever, and maybe in there it's like, this is going to be the best spring since 1981. And
This is the
like,
best spring that could be happening
exactly
since 1981.
Or did that number just sound good?
Just feel good off the tongue, off the dome. I'm more inclined to think it's just syllabically felt good. Because again, like, you know, I don't know. This is something we come back to once in a while, but like there is so much literal Thiessen out there. So many of Matt Thiessen's lyrics are confessional that it's hard to debate and get anyone to believe when lyrics aren't confessional of Matt Thiessen's exact life. You know what I mean? With the exception of Deathbed and Runnin', which everyone knows are fictional. Any other song, everyone tackles it from the point of view of this must be a true story. Like even Collapsible Lung, which we don't believe is a true story in any way. People think it's got to be. So there's a sect of people that think like, oh, these are all based on true stories.
1981 is also Hoops Pedal Company.
That's true. What happened in 1981? Do we know why Hoops' pedal company is called 1981?
I do not, but because I think he was born in 80.
They were both born in 80, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it says, according to Google, he was born February 15th, 1980.
Yeah, I haven't looked into 1981, the company, that much, aside from obviously following it and generally knowing some of the stuff that they've done. And I watched an interview or two where Matt Hoops talks about it, but I don't know why he calls it 1981. Let's look real quick at thepeoplehistory.com. 1981. What happened in 1981? Major stories include the AIDS virus identified. Well, that would not make it a great spring. The Iran hostage crisis ends. Well, it ended, so that's good. Yorkshire Ripper is caught. The Post-it notes were launched. There were riots in UK cities. Anwar Sadat was assassinated. One of the most exciting moments was the first flight of the Space Shuttle Columbia.
Nashville saw its nicest spring that it had ever had.
Oh my gosh, wait. This was also the first year that the World Internet was mentioned, and US-DOS was released by Microsoft along with the first IBM PC. Is that why 1981 is the best spring ever? Because it was the beginning of the downfall of civilization? It was the last year before the world went digital. We know Thiessen, Hoops has a phone. Hoops does plenty of social media, but we know Thiessen does not live online. So is he saying the spring of 1981 was the best spring the world ever had because it's when the internet existed, I believe, early on. It was just like between colleges and research places. But to think that 1981 was the first time where home computers were launching and the idea of having home internet was now possible, probably expensive in 1981. But is that why it was the last good year? It was because the home internet, finally began its nascent journey into homes and ready to ruin everyone with their Facebook news articles and their truther and QAnon stuff.
I don't know, but I think that you should make a new annotation over on Genius.
And just present it as fact.
Yes.
Because that's how geniuses work.
Absolutely.
That's how the geniuses work. They just give everything as given facts. On the world stage, the events that captured the imagination included Lady Diana Spencer marrying Charles, the Prince of Wales. Mm-hmm. So maybe it was the marriage of Diana and the Prince of Wales. In politics, a little-known group before Solidarity inspired... Okay, this is like a weird blog because there's like spelling mistakes in here. I'm just going to skip that. The cost of living in 1981... How much did things cost in 1981? Yearly inflation rate for the U.S. was 10.35%. Cool. I don't know what that means. Average cost of a new house was $78,000. $78,000. The median price for an existing home was $66,000. The average income per year was $21,000. The average monthly rent was $300.
Wow.
The cost of a gallon of gas was $1.25, which it has been in the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's gotten back down to $1 at different points. According to all those Trump Facebook posts where people are like, I'm posting this so Facebook will remind me how the world was. Gas is 45 cents. Like, where do you live? Below are some prices for UK, and then there's UK information. A 19-inch color TV in 1981 was $400. An under-the-counter dishwasher was $250.
A 19-inch color TV?
Was $400.
That's so small.
You can get a 15-inch... Sorry, I mean, you can get a 55-inch television for $200 on Amazon now. It'll fall apart in 3 weeks. Why is this here? A Star Wars figure set is $30. A pound of turkey is 55 cents.
This is just whatever this person was into in 1981, Danny.
What? A set of brass bamboo nested tables is $120. Ah, yes. The classic demarcation of an economy. How much is a set of brass bamboo nested tables? Fascinating. Well, it sounds like a great year, 1981. There was apparently a lot going on with Poland marital law in 1981.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to read that section. Raiders of the Lost Ark came out.
Nice.
Oh, the DeLorean car debuted.
Oh.
The first London Marathon. An Undiscovered Symphony by Mozart was found in February, but that's not spring, so forget that. I was just gonna say F that, like the swear, but I'm like, then it's more editing work. So that's 1981 for you. Iran releases 52 American hostages. That's good.
We spent way longer on the year 1981 than I thought we were going to coming into today's podcast.
I'm still preoccupied with 1981. So anyway, what else do you have to say about this song? Sleepin' from Air for Free. So you know what? I'll give you some information. Shockingly, not a staple of the band's live shows for, the couple of years they played live after this album came out. From all I can see, and it doesn't exist online. There's no live videos on YouTube, unfortunately. The only time that Setlist FM knows of them to have played this song was at a Akron, Ohio show the day after the album was released. And they played a bunch of new songs. And there are YouTube videos for that show, but I couldn't find one of Sleeping being performed. So it's crazy.
Bummer.
Yeah, it is a bummer because this is a popular song. There's a lot of covers. There are a few fan videos. It's a song that a lot of people used as like their vacation, compilation of footage from their vacations. So I'm surprised that...
Oh my gosh. Speaking of vacation compilations.
Yes.
So on our anniversary, not this year, but last year,
right,
we had gone to Lake Arrowhead and we covered the song Mountaintop that week. And we said that, I don't remember if it was you or me, but one of us said that I would put together a vacation video because we found so many vacation videos that week that I would put together a vacation video of that weekend to Mountaintop. And it took me over a year, but I finally did it, and we posted it. Did we not? I think we did.
It's on our YouTube video.
So that's out there.
I didn't post it to our social media because there's we're hugging and kissing on each other, and I'm like, this is embarrassing. So I just put it on YouTube where that kind of smut is expected. I'm a real... I keep everything to the chest. I don't like to get out there too much, which is totally not true. I'm so obnoxious.
For somebody who spends his entire existence online, you're a private person, Dan.
There's certain things that are private about me, and kissing my lady is one of them. When I'm like, hey, you sleeping tonight? And you're like, yeah, shut up, because I just rolled over and asked you.
Usually it's the other way around.
Right, yeah, usually I go to sleep first.
Yep.
I did take a nap before this episode.
Yeah, he took a 5-hour nap this afternoon.
So I'm surprised that Sparrow Sleeps didn't include this in their children's compilation. That's a big missed opportunity. This is the second of 2 references to Maine that I've noticed on this album, because the other one is in Mountaintop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
incidentally, is when they find the vase, and the one piece that they never found. They found it in the middle of some town in Maine that he can't quite remember the name of. But in this case, he's talking about Maine Coon cats and how he's always wanted a Maine Coon cat. Now, would you like to learn about Maine Coon cats?
I think I'm okay.
You are? Okay. Well, I did find...
You do have a note there, I see.
I have more than a note. I have a YouTube video.
Oh, wow.
And I guess I could just give you the summary of it and credit the video that I learned about this from. But this is from the YouTube page Facts About Cats. And this is their video. This is their video, Maine Coon Cat 101. Watch this before getting one. Full guide.
That cat does not look like what I would imagine a cat called a Maine Coon cat would look like. I would imagine something a lot like scruffier.
Well, they're very hairy. I think you would be uber allergic to them.
Yeah.
They have very pointy ears. They look very wild, but to summarize what I learned from this video, they basically are one of this, from what this video explains, they're one of the sweetest, most emotionally dependent kind cats, and they're often referred to as the dog of cats. Aww. Because when you're sad, they actually, unlike many other cats who couldn't give a crap about human beings,
Right.
Maine Coon cats are known to be in tune emotionally with their owners like dogs are. They're known to play fetch like dogs are. Aww. So when people who like dogs and cats, they say in this video, like, Maine Coon cats, you basically get a lot of what you get from a dog in a Maine Coon cat. Here's a grumpy looking one. He looks like the grumpy cat, but he's a Maine Coon cat. Yeah, I guess we don't have to watch the video, but you basically got the gist of everything I just described.
Are you sure that I got the gist of everything you described? Are you sure? Because you didn't ask, so.
Did you get the gist of what it sounds like?
Yeah,
the video's about? Okay. They also explain how they're a designer cat. They are more of a designer cat. They're not like necessarily naturally occurring. And there's all of these myths about why they exist. And some people say that they all descend from Marie Antoinette's personal cats, and like
wow,
she would breed them and give cats to people around the world bred from her own cats.
Then why aren't they called like Parisian?
I don't know.
Coon cats.
Good question. Another one is that because they're so pointy and they have those ears and they look wild, but they are more domestic and dog-like, people said that they were bred with actual raccoons, and that's why they're this way. Oh. But that's genetically impossible. Not possible. Just a complete, based on no science. That's not possible.
Cool.
But they are like an early designer cat, and they're continuing to be designed. Because they, just like April, just like our dog who's a Chiweenie, the existing Maine Coon cats are known to have hip dysplasia.
Oh, okay.
They're known to have hip dysplasia. So in this video, they're talking about if you get yourself one, to be aware of that, because a lot of cats won't exhibit pain. They just live with it. So they're like, be aware that you might need to get your cat checked out because they might not show symptoms of the fact that their hips are getting out of alignment and having hip dysplasia, but that the breeders continue to breed them in ways to try to remove that. And that Maine Coon cats also can get huge. They can get really fat, but also they can
they do look very wild.
Yeah, they're very wild. They're very big. And you gotta keep them healthy, because if they get too big, that just increases these spinal injuries they can have, which is what I was saying with April, because April is a Dachshund Chiweenie.
A Dachshund Chihuahua.
Yeah. She's a Chiweenie. She's a Dachshund Chihuahua. And when we got her, we learned that part of the reason breeders created Chiweenies is because they were basically trying to create Dachshunds who would have less back problems, because Dachshunds are known to have spinal issues. So by giving them the stronger spines of Chihuahuas, they still kind of look like Dachshunds. Yeah. Similar thing going on with the Maine Coon cats.
Yeah, when we found April at the shelter, it just said Chihuahua on her little card, and we're like, it looks like she's something else and a Chihuahua, maybe.
Yeah.
So we just looked up a bunch of different Chihuahua combinations when we got home, and we were like, oh, she's a Dachshund Chihuahua. She looks exactly like what is on Google Images.
Exactly, yeah. So I'll post some of that video to our social media later. I know you know this. I'm just saying this for our listeners. Scientifically speaking, if you're not aware of this, I learned this from somewhere. Domesticated cats, there is no psychological difference between a domesticated cat and a wild cat. It's not like a domestic dog and a wolf and a coyote have psychologically completely separate brains. Your cat in your house and a lion in Africa, there's nothing different between their brains. So if your cat was large enough and had claws strong enough, it would do what a lion does.
I think we learned this around the time that we were obsessed with Roar.
The movie Roar. But we didn't hear about it from that movie. No. I heard about it from somewhere else. And then that made that movie make so much more sense. Just watch the trailer to the movie Roar, or we'll do a cinematic cataclysm episode of it someday.
Because, it's amazing.
So nothing live online. And I found this one review, which I think we might have seen this guy's YouTube channel before, but his name he's got our last name, I don't know if I'm related to him, and then you by extension. But Matt O'Leary. I mean, technically the O is there for Matt here.
Because O'Leary isn't just like one of the most popular Irish names or anything.
But the thing is, the name Leary and the name O'Leary are the same name.
Yeah.
It's not, there's when you go back.
They dropped the O on the boat.
They dropped the O, like when immigration was happening, they just started removing the O's on people's names because they were tired of it. That's the legend that I always hear, and that's what my grandmother told me. So she was the first generation to come to America, so I have to believe it's true if she experienced it. So Matt O'Leary Music on YouTube, he talks about Sleepin here, and he says one thing that I think is incorrect, but let's let him do a little bit of our podcasting for us.
Matt Hoops has his shining moment on the ukulele feel of Sleepin.
Okay, so the mistake is right away. Right there. This is all he says. So he does a full, I don't think I described this video correctly, but this is a full Air for Free album review. Did I say that? I didn't say that?
I don't remember now.
That's okay. So this is a full Air for Free album review that he's giving, and this is Matt's section on Sleepin'. And he says that Matt Hoops shines on the ukulele section. And that was news to me. I was like, oh, Matt Hoops plays the ukulele? Cool. But then I picked up the record, and ukulele is attributed to Thiessen. Not by track. They're not like, ukulele on track whatever is whoever. But there's no ukulele credited on this album to Matt Hoops. So he
probably just figured, like, guitarist, he must also do the ukulele section.
Right. So then I got a little curious because I was like, there's that finger picking at the beginning, in beginning and the outro. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is it possible that that's something else? And then the actual strumming is a ukulele? I looked into it for a second, and there's an omnichord, which I realized later we have talked about, but the omnichord is an electric instrument. Mm-hmm. It's not. When I first saw omnichord, I was like, is this like a glockenspiel xylophone? Is it like how we used to mix up the xylophone and the glockenspiel? Was an omnichord similar to a ukulele? No, it's not. So from what I can tell, Thiessen does the ukulele on this song. I guess the finger picking part plus the strumming during the main part of the song. So let's listen to more of Matt O'Leary's review.
Which is bookended by these pastoral fingerpick guitars. But the second time that this little fingerpick guitar comes around in the song, they add this...
Okay, maybe I'm getting confused here. I don't know if I have an answer for this. I don't know if you have an answer for this in your deep dive. But maybe that's just guitar for the fingerpicking part at the beginning?
I actually don't. My deep dive did not uncover a lot. It's which I thought was kind of surprising. And I actually did two searches. I did one with Sleepin, SLEEPIN apostrophe, and I did another one Sleeping, SLEEPING, because even on the official audio stream from Relient K on YouTube, in the description, they call the title of it, they write Sleeping out, all the way out.
Oh, that's funny.
So I was like, well, let me just make sure that I do both. And I searched for both. And while I got a few different results on each, I didn't get anything really interesting that went in depth on this song at all.
That's funny that the official YouTube video would mess it up and put the G.
And the graphic in the background, it says Sleepin, SLEEPIN.
Yeah.
It's so
but
weird.
Especially because it's a motif for the album to replace all the G's on Runnin' and Sleepin' and... I was going to say something dirty. I decided not to say it. So it's a motif on the album to remove those G's and replace them with the apostrophes. So it's just funny that the official video did mess it up. When I did my YouTube search, I definitely searched Sleepin' with an N and Sleepin' with a G. But yeah, now I'm a little confused because when we get into covers, there are a bunch of YouTube covers with ukulele where people did the intro and the outro finger picking on a ukulele. And that's amazing. They're super talented people on YouTube. One of them's Adam Goff, friend of the pod.
Oh, nice.
But to the fact that everyone went that extra mile, not to just cut directly to the song, but to do the finger picking on ukulele, it made me think that the finger picking in the song on the record is also ukulele. But is it guitar? I don't know. I'm definitely not discerning enough to tell if that string instrument is, it sounds like ukulele to me, but it could just be a nice, as Matt O'Leary says here, pastoral guitar.
Right. Someone please hit us up and let us know. I'm looking at you. You can see my socks.
Yes. Also, Greg Simpson from This Might Be a Podcast, he's great at picking out those.
Oh, yeah.
At listening to something really close and figuring out
We
what's
should have sent him
instruments.
this song ahead of time.
Yeah. So I remember when we had him on our podcast, he was like, hey, you can always send me things ahead of time and ask me for musical theory and instrument ideas on these songs. And I'm like, we got a guy for that. He's trying to replace him. But now we can have a second opinion if we need it. So I don't know if there's any more in this interview, this review. Let's hear.
Measure of 7/8, which I thought was a pretty beautiful and subtle little touch. Also, the guitar line from Savannah, it's in there.
Right. So that's it. That's all Matt O'Leary has to say. But I did see that on Genius as well, that the end of this song features the guitar line from Savannah.
There's a whole Reddit discussion on this that I didn't read yet, but I did throw in as part of my deep dive.
Okay. And then Matt O'Leary here says that, and I don't understand time signatures, but he said something about, like, if this is even a time signature thing, something about how the outro version switches to a 7/8. Okay, I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh, it totally is, yeah. Huh. That's cool. See, that's how, oh man, this song really is, to me, the pinnacle of this idea of, like, making a hybrid of the good parts of Collapsible Lung.
No. We just get rid of Collapsible Lung, and then we go right from Forget Not Slow Down into Air for Free. Yeah.
I mean, you can absolutely do that if you want that. I'm just saying, Air for Free, this kind of like how John Schneck also told us about how when they geared up to do what was going to be Collapsible Lung, he was kind of expecting to go back to sort of the Forget Not Slow Down thing, but then he went this whole other direction to Collapsible Lung. He was like, oh, okay, this isn't what I expected Relient K to the direction to go. But Sleepin', it kind of ties it all together. Like, this is the album they could have done instead of Collapsible Lung. They could have done this thing that made these little callbacks to Forget Not Slow Down, but also moved in these new pop directions.
Man does as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I that's why I feel like Air for Free is such a great album, especially as I appreciate Collapsible Lung a little bit more. Like, and I understand the problems with Collapsible Lung and its sort of misplacement in Relient K's oeuvre, but to think that, like, this is they figured it out with Air for Free. They took the things that they tried to do with Collapsible Lung that didn't work for so many people, and they mixed it together with what makes Relient K, and they made this whole new kind of Relient K. And I feel like Sleepin' and You Say Man really exemplify this version of this chapter of Relient K. So please, Relient K, don't go away. You got to keep this going. More than one record on this thing. That would be cool. My favorite Relient K album is the next Relient K album.
We'll be back after these messages.
If you enjoy Sadie Hawkins Pod, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And you can interact with the show. Call our voicemail line, 402-95-SADIE, and we'll play it on a future show.
You can send an email to sadiehawkinspod@gmail.com and visit our Instagram and Twitter, which are both at Sadie Hawkins Pod.
We also have merch up at our TeePublic store, where you can get a shirt, a mug, stickers, and more.
Just in time for Halloween, or for after Halloween, depending on when you're listening to this, is our little Sheep Boy shirt design, based on the cover of the original Creepy EP. We also want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/SadieHawkinsPod. Brady, David, Tucker, This Might Be a Podcast, Owen, Jimmy Eat Pod, Roxanne, Samantha, Helen, Michael, and Connor. You can sign up to our Patreon for bonus episodes and exclusive merch.
And if you have a special someone in your life, think of giving them the gift of Sadie Hawkins Pod.
So like I mentioned, there's not a ton for the deep dive this week. And it's funny because when I was doing, I don't remember if it was Sleepin with the N apostrophe or ing, but Gatsby's American Dream like came up in some article or something, and then I just went on a Gatsby's American Dream rabbit hole like down there for a few hours.
What is that?
And
Gatsby's? I don't know what that is.
that's a pop punk band.
Oh, okay.
From back in the day.
Oh, I never heard of them.
Oh, they're good. And I totally forgot about their cover off of Punko's 80s, which is of Just Like Heaven.
Okay.
By The Cure, and it's really good. It's like what I love in a pop punk cover.
Well, they sound like a great Gatsby. I do. Well, I have a little deep dive for you then, and then.
Oh, okay.
So I just found this, but there was an annotation that I didn't quite read. I didn't get to this on Genius, and they actually had a citation noted. They said, let me see. Let me read the citation, and then I'll get to the deep dive part of it. But when it says, might buy me one of them Maine Coon cats and serenade him basking in the sun on my front porch. Doug Bowen, who we didn't appreciate some of his other annotations, I appreciate this one. It says, and he backs us up, Thiessen always wanted a cat, so he began writing about owning a cat. This cat would later make its way into its own song on the album song titled Cat. And then it lists the reference. And on Chorus FM, there's an actual interview with Matt Thiessen. And
Yeah, because there's a lot of cat references on this album.
Yeah. And it says here, so the interviewer says, it does feel like a summer record because there are a lot of outdoorsy references and a lot of animal references as well. Was there a theme for you? Was there a theme you were going for with all those? Thiessen says, it became easier to do, I guess, as it went along. The idea of having a cat. I didn't have a cat, and I wanted to write about the cat. So it was good. That made into referring to a cat in a couple other songs. Okay. I don't know if that's literally, when you're speaking, you don't speak perfectly edited English. And even having a song called Cat. So really the cat showed up in the ukulele song Sleepin', and then he got to be on the rest of the record because that song was early. Okay, so the song Sleepin' was an early song.
Oh, cool.
We're learning that. And the fact that the cat shows up so much later, apparently, I guess the cat showed up in Sleepin'.
I'm bummed out that it directly references Sleepin' and yet did not come up in my deep dive.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thiessen also says, I do like animals. I've been feeding birds a lot lately, figuring out what kinds they are and what they sing about. All that stuff. That's so fucking cute. What do they sing about? So classic tweet Thiessen.
I'm just over here like, man, he sounds like such an old man. Like, yes, I like to go to the park and feed the birds. Like, what?
But how is that not the most Thiessen-y thing you've ever heard? He's trying to figure out what the birds are singing about.
It's a beautiful thought. It's a beautiful concept.
I've been writing a lot of solo songs that are all about the woods and nature and that sort of thing. It's something that's appealing to me in music. Well,
where are those? Next album, let's do it.
I mean, maybe some of those ended up on Wind Up Bird. Oh, Bird, Wind Up Bird. He was into the bird. I like birds. Obviously, dogs are my favorite animal. Squirrels are my second favorite animal. But I also like birds. And I'm not a bird person in the idea that I probably wouldn't own a bird because I don't want to have a caged bird. But birds are very pretty. Like, some of them are very smart and some of them aren't. Like dogs. Sure. I think birds are very nice. Yeah. I like birds. But, Jessica's allergic to cats, so we've never had a cat. I'm also allergic to them, but I'm a little less allergic than Jessica. Yeah, but I like cats. My mom had a cat for a long time.
What is this weird topic?
I don't know. This is top of the show stuff.
Like, where are we?
So, Jessica, you have some more deep...
We should have addressed this like 50 minutes ago.
Okay. All right. I couldn't even say I'm
This is Danny's deep dive.
Yeah, deep dive into my personal feelings about cats. I couldn't even say I'm inebriated right now. I had like one glass of whiskey earlier, but I'm not feeling it. So I'm really just being like wistful and stupid.
And you had a nap this afternoon, so you're not tired.
No, I'm not tired. I can't give you the usual Sadie Hawkins Pod classic. I'm tired. It's none of that.
So we have TikToks.
Yo, boy.
We have 2 of them, and one of them is super cute. All right, so here's the first one.
Is it that one where the groom throws the cake on top of the lady, on top of the bride's head?
What? No.
I just saw this. I saw this on Twitter this morning, that there's a TikTok where like a lady at a wedding, she like, you know, smushes the cake in his face, and he takes a couple steps back and he comes along and he picks up the whole cake and he throws it at her.
Oh my gosh.
And now the internet's going crazy telling her to divorce
upsetting.
him.
Yeah. That's so upsetting.
Everyone's like, red flag, red flag.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't appear
I'm upset for the cake. Like, wedding cakes are expensive. And, like, you go to the tastings and you pick out just the perfect cake, you know?
Right.
Like, he just went and destroyed it. Nobody else gets cake. What a lousy wedding.
It reminds me of the last section of Wild Tales. Wild Tales is this foreign movie where it's like, it's a couple of shorts about, they're actually like, it's not a heavy movie, but they sound like heavy topics, but it's actually a very interesting movie. I'm trying to remember is it Argentina? I'm trying to remember what country it's from, but it's just a bunch of short stories about just like crazy stuff. It's almost like a comedy with a little dark comedy. Anyway, the last section, I think you watched a little bit of this part with me, but you didn't watch the whole movie. It is just this couple who they're married, and it cuts in, it's already their reception, because it's a short film. Mm-hmm. Cuts in, it's already their reception.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then like, and then the guy cheats on her at the wedding. She discovers it, so she immediately goes and cheats on him. And then I think maybe he cheats on them. But then she like it just keeps escalating, and no one at the party knows. But it's actually supposed to be comedic because they're like melting down. It turns out by the end of the story, you realize they're both kind of crazy. Because at the end of the thing, like they have this huge fight, like one of them is bloodied or something. I can't remember if it's the girl. But in the end, they like just start dancing. They're like, just put the music back on. They start dancing together again. And then they start having sex on the floor in front of all of their family and friends. And everyone's disgusted and walks out. It's a comedy.
It's like the Pina Colada song.
It is exactly like the Pina Colada song. So this lady with glasses is studying, I guess. She's chilling.
She's writing.
Oh, that's such a comfy looking living room in the basement. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. It's an unfinished ceiling, and it looks like they have a projector, so they probably can project movies on the wall. And they have Christmas lights up there. It's adorable. And they got the biggest, comfiest couch with so many pillows and blankets.
The text says, when your characters insist on you finishing that problem scene.
Okay.
And then it says, this is from @Fluent Project. And then it says, if I get asked what being a writer is like, I'm showing them this video. # writers of TikTok, # writer's life, # the struggle, # AMW. Oh, AM writing, sorry. Am writing. Jeez.
AMW. Ooh, I could go for some cheese curds and a root beer.
# for you page, # FYP. I see that, like, that hashtag am writing, and like I don't actually know if it's AM writing or M writing, because like I usually see it in the morning, so I'm like, is this like AM writing? But I've never seen hashtag PM writing, so maybe I'll start that. It'll be a new thing.
You've been writing in the PM recently.
Yeah.
That you weren't sleeping the other night. It was like, what was it, 3 a.m, and I woke up and I'm like, Jessica's not here, and I'm like, look, and she's like just writing away, working on stuff.
Okay, so here is our next one. This one's super adorable.
So it's a man standing on a porch, and now he's with his lady, and now, whoa, very fast cuts.
It's like,
it's like a tribute to a boyfriend or something?
Yeah, it's just cute. It's adorable. I love it. It's just this couple being cute. Like, this girl's like, look at my cute my cute boyfriend or husband or whomever over here. And then they're doing cute stuff, and he's playing guitar. He's at a graduation, like...
Yeah.
They got balloons going. They're holding hands. They're making silly faces.
They're
at the
always wearing
camera.
sweaters. They're cuddling with the dogs.
I love it. It's very.
They got a
Relient
Mr. Bubs
K.
like dog. Do you think he's like, oh, Mr. Bubs? What, Mr. Bubs?
This is from at MELFE4. I could
Melfel
watch this
4.
over and over again. Heart.
I wish you loved me that much that you'd make little cute videos for me and express your love through little edited videos. I wish you'd do that for me. Why are you staring at me? She does that so much. You guys don't even see all the cute little videos and pictures she puts together.
And then we have the Reddit that
Don't
I was
just move
talking
on from
about
that.
before.
I love you. I was kidding.
Then we have the Reddit that I was talking about. Before. And it's r/Relient K, and then the topic or the header, I don't know, I don't do Reddit, is Sleepin meant to be a spiritual successor to Savannah? I was listening to the end of Sleepin and getting serious Savannah vibes. Sorry if this has been talked about before, but I was just so happy. Sorry, yes, turn on low power mode. When I realized this connection. Savannah is probably my favorite Relient K song, if not overall favorite song. And if you think about it, the lyrics match up really well together. They share similar themes. Nature, talking about being home with a loved one, my front porch, come on over, and we will both know by tonight we'll feel normal again.
Yeah.
Except that we know what Savannah's about.
Right. And we don't really know what Sleepin's about.
Right.
Or who it's about.
Definitely, there's
It
no
could-
way it's about the same person. I mean, I guess it could technically be about the same person, but...
Or it's just kind of like a taking back of those romantic ideas with a new person.
So there's one comment, and that was by Redditor Fritz Factor 64. I feel like such an old person. I'm like, and this is from the Reddit, like, because I don't do Reddit. So Feet on the Dashboard replied,
Gross, get those down.
they both have... Do you think they're from a Quentin Tarantino movie?
Yes, definitely.
They both have the dazed, half-asleep feeling lyrics that don't necessarily have a common theme or structure. Sleepin is about the thoughts that go through your head while you're trying to sleep. Savannah is about recalling a dream or a memory of someone special. Musically, they sound like they could have been written back to back. I would say that the band probably intentionally made it sound like Savannah, but I don't think there is a hidden message connecting the two or anything like that.
That just reminded me, when we were doing our Savannah episode, I fell onto the theory that I didn't go into the recording of that episode with, that Savannah is a dream and that Oasis, the entire point, which, like, I don't know that this is exactly what I really do believe about the song, but my interpretation by the end of that episode was that Oasis is him falling asleep and going into a dream of the vacations and the feeling of being on the beach at Savannah. Does Savannah have a beach?
Yes.
Yes. So, and like that the whole song is a dream. And that then the baby part might kind of be like that wake up. Because we talked about when you broke up with me and how I never had that when I would wake up in the morning. I would never have that short moment. I would wake up immediately remembering that my heart was broken. I wouldn't have that short moment where my brain is slowly waking up and wondering where I am, and then I remember I'm sad. I would immediately wake up and immediately remember why I'm sad and everything. So that was my interpretation of why Baby is so, like, abrasive and shocking compared to the rest of the song. So maybe, in a way, this is a flip side of the coin, where this is literally about insomnia, and it can't be about a dream. If there are those connections, this can't be about falling asleep and dreaming about a time that you're now sad you've lost. It's because it's about him literally being awake, and he can't be dreaming. He's making his own dreams awake. Or something like that.
Sorry, Savannah doesn't have a beach. It's like the next town over.
Oh, okay. Well, still.
That general area.
Yeah. So, you didn't want to watch my video about Maine Coon cats, but I'm going to make you watch my video that I found about butter lettuce.
Oh, yay.
So let's see. This is by Honey Pies Recipes. This was uploaded 3 years ago, and it's called Butter Lettuce. Everything you need to know about butter lettuce.
I mean, I need to know everything about butter lettuce, so I'm ready. I'm excited. Let's do it. Now, does this have talking or is it just text on screen?
This has talking, so we're going to hear the whole video.
This is what is known as either butter or Bib lettuce. It's a very delicate leaf, and that's where really the name butter comes from. It's got a creamy texture to it. It's very, very delicate, and that's one of the reasons that it is sold with the root on, and it has a little well in there so that it stays in the water because it's very perishable, highly perishable. So when you're working with Bib lettuce, you want to buy this either the day you're going to use it or the day before. I wouldn't have it around too much longer because it loses its value. It's loose because you can see it's not as tight as like the iceberg and the core. We're just going to snap that off here. And then I'm going to just cut through here and remove that. Now, because these leaves are so much looser, look at that, isn't that gorgeous? There used to be a restaurant in town that closed recently. Broke my...
Jeez. Wait, but this is 3 years ago. This isn't even...
Which restaurant? I gotta know.
Hold on. I was thinking like, oh, COVID. They're like, no, this is 3 years ago.
But they served a Bib lettuce with a big slice of a horseradish on it with a very, very tangy white champagne vinaigrette with lots of shallots in it. You know, kind of made your eyes water a little, just on the edge of that tanginess, but it was one of my favorite things, and this lettuce went with it perfectly.
She didn't say what it was. So butter lettuce, also called Bib lettuce, I would say Matt Thiessen definitely made the better choice in terms of what's the nicer sounding lyric about butter lettuce. Sometimes I do think of like a butter lettuce salad, knowing that I know that the lettuce is called butter lettuce, but it makes me think of like a salad covered in butter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. For our opening bit, if I had more care, I was actually gonna have lettuce and butter ready and like make it. There would have been too much effort, and also ruined the lettuce.
Opening bit. What are you talking about?
Well, we didn't have an opening bit this week because Matt Skibitz stopped by for some reason, but we normally do an opening bit.
We do opening bits.
Where have you been?
I thought that was just us talking about our life. And then we play the song, and then we go into top of the show business. And no?
You hit record on the machine. So anyway, yeah, that's basically all we gonna learn from whatever that channel was. I just closed the thing. There's another lady who gives us an actual recipe for butter lettuce, which seemed nice, but...
Does it include cottage cheese? Because I'm not familiar with this, like putting cottage cheese in a salad.
I did try to find that. I typed in cottage cheese salad, and all I found on YouTube, at least, because that's all I did for the search, was like cottage cheese salads and the idea of like an egg salad or a like potato
a
salad or a fruit salad, like not a leafy green salad, but like a salad. Which reminds me, speaking of Denny earlier, the whole reason that I do an Australian accent sometimes is because I have this friend online, Maddie Rendell, right? And I was also obsessed with Australia before I even met him online. And so in talks with him online and like the chicken burger thing, how they call chicken sandwiches chicken burgers, and we don't call them that here in America. And we had a whole conversation about that, have had conversations about that. And at some point in one of those Twitter conversations, it came up that like salads, like here in America, we think of a salad as like a bowl of greens with toppings, but we also think of a salad as like a bowl of like boiled egg, like chopped up eggs and mayonnaise. That's a salad somehow. Or like chicken, like chopped up chicken and mayonnaise. That's a salad for some reason. You know what I mean? Maybe there's some
or just
bits
a
of corn.
bowl of fruit.
Or a bowl of fruit is
for
a
some
salad.
reason a salad.
So I think I was the one to inform Maddie of this, and then he was like, "What?" Because he said something like, "I think just salad is lettuce." Like they just call salad lettuce.
Right.
I think you sometimes see that with like a salad sandwich. We have salad sandwiches, which is just lettuce on a piece of bread. But it's so weird, I guess, that we do have things called salads, and they're just mounds of mayonnaise and something. Like potatoes and mayonnaise.
Right.
That's a salad.
Yeah.
Egg and mayonnaise. That's a salad. Chicken and mayonnaise. Yeah.
When you hear the word salad, just you don't think immediately of mayonnaise.
Yeah. I've heard
I guess some people do.
I've heard people who like who hate mayonnaise, like try to replace the mayonnaise with like salad dressings. But that's actually worse to me. That's actually somehow like a mound of ranch dressing with potato or egg or chicken. No, thank you.
It's just making me think of How I Met Your Mother. There's an episode where, I think it might be a Christmas episode, where Lily's at Marshall's family's house, and they're like talking about the like seven layer salad, or I don't know, something like that, and it's just like all really gross fattening stuff like piled on top of each other.
Is it the Feast of the 12 Fishes, or what's that? Oh, I really want to do that now. There's an Italian, the Feast of the There's an Italian Christmas tradition called the Feast of the 12 Fishes, the 7 fishes. Wait. I'm letting Google, like the Google fill out, explain it to me. No, now I've searched it. It's the Feast of the 7 Fishes. It's the Italian Christmas feast. And I've never had an Italian friend that does this before, but now I want it because I've heard about it in multiple places through podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff recently. I want to do the Feast of the 7 Fishes. I don't know I don't want to cook it. I don't want you to cook it. I want someone traditional who knows how to cook it, or a restaurant where they do the Feast of the 7 Fishes. Anyway, what are we talking about? So I have 4 videos. I kind of oversold it earlier, but there are 4 fan videos.
Do you have the one where it's the girl who did the?
Yes,
I think it was
have that. We'll get to
mashup?
that.
Okay, great.
I'm starting with the fan videos because then we'll get to covers. We'll do it that order today. We have a senior trip 2017 video. We have we'll watch this one. So I'll skip that description. We have this one that's a visual art video. Oh, we'll watch this now because Jessica has recently been getting into like watching laser light shows on YouTube. Which I'm sure you can't really get the full effect of it watching it on YouTube because it's YouTube. But it's still cool because there's animations involved and stuff. And there's still artistry.
I have now bought lasers for the house. It's a whole thing.
So someone made this kind of lasery light show.
Nice.
They called it visual art. This is by Nosrenos. Nosneros. And it's just kind of like a
It looks like, do you remember like how the music players on the old computers used to have the little
like Winamp
thing? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like it's they're not really waveforms, but they're kind of like dancing waveforms. And I think they switch up the colors and stuff every once in a while. There we go. So there's one that's more like space, kind of zooming, like warp speed effects.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. But this one's great. So this next one's kind of funny. Oh, and then someone's nature walk video. Just like going out about nature walk. They got a bunch of critters in the shot. That was nice. But we'll watch this one here, and then we'll finish with covers, because we do have a bunch of those. This is by Tom Henry, 4 years ago. Did this FMV. So I thought it was a cover at first, because he's holding the ukulele, but he's not going to... He's just gonna dance around to the song, to the record, the normal record version of the song. So he's clearly on some sort of like campus because it's all brick walls. He's on a campus or a church. It's like a church campus. It's one of those kind of things. He found like a little lion statue, and he's serenading the lion statue.
What is that statue?
I don't know. I don't know if that's a statue of a saint or something. I don't know, like I said, if this is a college or a church, but it's like a lady with a crown, and it's a white statue and a sword. I don't know if that's...
Internet cafe.
Yeah, so now he's in an internet cafe. This is clearly like a campus or for something. Whether it's for a church or a school.
If it was a church, it would have some kitschy name for the cafe.
Right. And now he's standing on all the tables. And so I think it's just 2 people made this. And now he's like rolling across the walls. Like it's a little... He's like against the walls and rolling
There's
across the
no
walls.
parking sign, but he's clearly inside.
Oh, well, that's just cool. You know, your youth group puts like out... You know when like Marge goes to Uncle Mo's restaurant and she's like, outdoor signs inside?
Yeah,
okay.
well, sure,
a hat on an alligator? All right.
Get that in like a restaurant, but not just or a dorm room.
But then, you know, if you go to a youth group and they've got like outdoor signs inside at the youth group in the sanctuary, you're like, this place is cool.
I suppose none of my youth groups ever had that.
So
my
then,
youth groups weren't very cool though, so maybe that's why.
So this part's fun. He then is like actually playing 2 characters. Somebody jumps on he jumps on the drums, and they do this really well. They cut it really quick.
Yeah, they
like,
do. They do.
They do a quick zoom across, like you pan the camera really fast, and in some way they're cut because then the guy is over playing the ukulele and looking annoyed at how rambunctiously the drummer is drumming.
It's adorable.
Super adorable. See, he's like upset. He's like, yo, bro, who's also me. I'm trying to ukulele over here and you're drumming too loud. You're no Dave Douglas. And then he runs away. So that's fun. That's nice. It's also shot very well. Very good camera. Good composition. Yeah, the cinematic nature of their video. I can talk about movies just as poorly as I can talk about music sometimes. So, well, now we're on to covers, and there are a lot. I don't know how many we'll hit, but we have to talk about J.C. Keith because they're friends of the pod as well, and this is their version after this Google commercial. This is their version from their full Air for Free tribute album. This is J.C. Keith's Sleepin'.
This spring is gonna be the best one since 19...
So they skip unless they put it, you know what? I better double check their actual album because I'm looking at this on YouTube. Unless they kind of messed with the track listing and broke it out, they skipped the little intro part. Some people did that, some people didn't. I just want to be sure what J.C. Keith did here. So, Sleepin'. Oh, yeah, so they did. Okay, so J.C. Keith did what I assumed Relient K would have done with this album 8 years earlier. They edited it out. They called the intro to Sleepin', they call it Spring, which is a totally fitting name. Yeah. So here is J.C. Keith's intro to Sleepin', which they titled Spring.
That's nice. I really love those.
Oh, sorry.
That's nice. I really love those harmonies.
Yeah.
In there, and there's that there's an extra twang on the And I guess it's a guitar.
Oh, so
not a ukulele.
This album is called Air for Free Reimagined, by the way. We were just about to get to these like vocals. I want to hear that too. Then they have a good 3 seconds before they cut back into the main song. Those ahs, that could have been like a digital sample as well, or like a keyboard awe, or it could have been people. I guess I wish we could ask them. I wish they would answer our questions. Just kidding. Of course they would. So then here's their actual Sleepin' cover.
This spring is gonna be the best one since 1981 or so. They've all been saying that. Might just buy me one of them Maine Coon cats and serenade him basking in the sun on my front porch. I'm not sleeping tonight. Sit back and watch the sunset work its magic in its own true light. I'm not sleeping tonight, so come on over.
So they left the chorus kind of laid back. They didn't do that kick-in thing that the actual song does. And it kind of almost gives it like a like an 80s, 70s folksy rock feel in a way. Not exactly, but sort of. It changes the timbre of the song.
Yeah, I like that. And that opening, the intro part is I don't know if they did this intentionally or if I just hadn't noticed it in the main song until we started talking about it, but like I really hear that like very like Oasis Savannah kind of feel in there.
Right. Now I wonder if J.C. Keith specifically fed that like fan theory, that feeling that this is like a callback in a way to Savannah.
Yeah.
Because I mean it has a melody similar, it has a guitar thing similar to Savannah, it has the 3 sections like the full suite of Savannah, and here J.C. Keith decides, which is the band, by the way, I don't know if we mentioned that, but that's not the name of the person, they were a band, that I wonder if they were like, yeah, this is like Savannah, so let's split it back up like Savannah was, and they came up with a nice song. Spring and Outro was the name of their outro section, which we won't play right now. Instead, we'll play, this is one of Jessica's favorite finds we've ever had on the show, when we talked about Sleepin'. And now this makes so much sense that she mashed up Sleepin' with Savannah.
Oh, is that what she mashed up with?
Yes.
Because I think I said Mountaintop earlier, because I honestly couldn't remember, but I did remember that this was really good and I really liked it.
I wasn't really aware of these Savannah Sleepin' conspiracy vibes. I didn't really know about this. But when we talked about...
I feel really dumb for as much as I've listened to those 2 albums that I didn't put that
together.
It's
pretty subtle. It's pretty subtle, and it takes better people than us to figure that out. But now that I understand that there is this connection between Savannah and Sleepin', it makes so much sense that this Kate Bischoff video that we watched when we talked about Savannah, she mashes them up in her college dorm room, and then you hear people down the hall yelling at each other. So let's hear this again, because it's one of Jessica's favorite things that we've ever found on this podcast.
Savannah, I hope to be there by the morning and see this pining go transforming into the arms of the Georgia sun. Savannah, I love to feel the heat, the sunrise, brushing rays across my windshield as if one dries the streams from off my face. Yet I know you'll be there, 'cause you know I want you to be there, and we'll say hello as you're smiling in love and the sighs so relieved. I believe because we will both know by tonight we'll feel normal again. I'm not sleeping tonight. Sit back and watch the sunset work its magic in its own true light. I'm not sleeping tonight, so come on over.
Jessica's vibing. She's dancing. She
love
loves
it.
this video. We should rip it and make sure we always have it in case Kate Bischoff ever wants to remove it. Because that happened. One of my favorite covers we ever found was the Forget Not Slow Down cover from a girl in Manila or somewhere, and she took down all her videos. And thank goodness I just happened to not delete the file when I downloaded it to edit into the podcast. We should do the same thing for this. We actually went on a Kate Bishkoff deep dive.
Yeah, she's actually got some like original songs as well, and I had been listening to them on like Apple Music for a while after we did Savannah.
Yep.
And first discovered the video.
I think she might have one other Relient K cover, or maybe not.
Yeah, I think she did have a second one.
Yeah. Well, anyway. What else have we got? So now that makes sense why she picked those two songs. I wonder if she did that on purpose, if she was in tune with those discussions at the time. Here's what I found is another there's a lot of really good covers.
I mean, she probably just figured it out based on the chord progression in the outro, right?
Right, because, she's a musician and we're not, so why would we expect none of those things? So here's here's the band, an artist called And Yet. That's the name of the artist, the word and, the word yet. It's kind of hard to say out loud. This is their cover of Sleepin', and they put a little bit of an Empty House vibe on it. Even though you don't care for Empty House, I'm hoping you'll like this. It's just fun because we don't find these a lot. We don't find people really transforming Relient K songs too often. It happens once in a while. Sometimes someone makes an awesome video game version cover, and then they delete it between the moment I did the research and when we record the episode. And I get really, really bummed. But here's a really cool, different cover of Sleepin' by And Yet, 9 months ago.
This spring is gonna be the best one since 1981 or so. They've all been saying I might just buy me one of them Maine Coon cats and serenade him basking in the sun on my front porch. No, I'm not sleeping tonight. Sit back and watch the sunset work its magic in its own true light. I'm not sleeping tonight, so come on over.
So what do you think of that? That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah. I while I was sitting here, I found a recommended video that said, human behavior dogs hate. Human behaviors that dogs hate and wish you wouldn't do. 2.7 million views 4 months ago, 11 minutes, and I put that to my watch later. It's like, I gotta figure out what am I doing wrong for April. She doesn't like when we podcast, that's for sure. She just sits there looking sad, like, you're not playing with me, you're not hugging me. Yeah, that's great. I really like that. I like hearing anything that's really transformative, that's not just, a single instrument and a webcam. Right. Like, those are always great. Like, here's another one of those that's good. This is another friend of the pod, Adam Goff. I mentioned this earlier. He's got a ukulele cover, and he shot this amazingly. Like, he shot this in his, front yard or something at magic hour. Like, you can barely see him in the contrast, but you can see the sky behind him.
Yeah, this is cool.
And he's playing this on ukulele, and I think he's playing a ukulele. Is it a guitar? It's hard to tell. Yeah, looks like a ukulele. Even though, like I said, contrast-wise, you can barely see him in front of the bright blue magic sky behind him. He's doing the full intro, and then we'll hear him do the regular part of the song.
This spring is gonna be the best one since 1981. So they've all been saying that might just buy me one of them Maine Coon cats and serenade him basking in the sun on my front porch. 'Cause I'm not sleeping tonight. Lie back and watch the sunset work its magic in its own true light.
That's nice, right?
Yeah, I like that.
I love that
It's
a car
pretty.
drove past for
Yeah.
a second because he's just out there in the yard.
It's good stuff.
Or as they would call it in England, the garden. So here is... She's just like, what? There's a whole bunch of other covers. Oh my gosh. So here's the very first time I've ever seen this. We talk about this all the time. So many of our other friend podcasts have skirted this controversy, but I accept that it's what, the cultural zeitgeist calls a guitar cover is unfortunately what the world calls playing along to a record on guitar. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be called a guitar cover because you're playing along with the record.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the zeitgeist, the world, YouTube, the community accepts this. Not our contemporaries on other podcasts. They always call it play-alongs and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is a ukulele cover, but in the guitar cover sense. This is the first time I've ever seen this, where if I'd said ukulele cover, you'd think, oh, someone's like Adam Goff just did. But no, this is a guitar cover. This is a guitar cover with a ukulele. This is someone playing along to the record on a ukulele.
Gotcha.
This YouTube user For the Kingdom 2 years ago uploaded this, and they call it ukulele cover, but it's a play-along cover in the guitar cover tradition.
Gotcha.
So this is the first time I've ever seen this. Or the drum cover tradition as well.
This spring is gonna be the best one since 1981 or so. They've all been saying that might just buy me one of them Maine Coon cats and serenade him basking in the sun on my front porch.
Nice.
Yeah, but For the Kingdom also does the full finger picking section. So
cool.
Since we heard some more finger picking from the first part of the song by other people, let's hear For the Kingdom's outro. So I assume when you're listening to this on the podcast, you just kind of got to know that the most loud of the finger picking parts is is For the Kingdom. And there's a couple. There's a drum cover which is in the play along style. There's this. We haven't found anything. We keep picking songs that no one's uploading anything to SoundCloud. So here's a SoundCloud cover. So I'm going to play this just because we haven't been to SoundCloud in a while. This is by Guillermo Bruno, Sleepin, Relient K.
This spring is gonna be the best one since 1981 or so. They've all been saying that might just buy me one of them Maine Coon cats and serenade him basking in the sun.
There's a slight ASMR to this.
Yeah,
not exactly,
bit, yeah.
right on the cusp of ASMR. Oh, I would love to hear an actual ASMR cover. I just buy me one of those Maine Coon cats and serenade him basking in the sun on my front porch. I'm not sleeping tonight. Sit back and watch the sunrise. Magic. I didn't know the words. I was hoping that the ASMR whispers would allow me to mask the fact that I don't have the words memorized.
I think you have a real career there, Danny. I think you could really turn that into something.
I should have an ASMR channel.
Oh yeah.
Sadie ASMR Hawkins Pod. So I'm trying to put it to our branding for the podcast. It's not quite working. So here's
Sadie Hawkins MSR.
ASMHP. So here's there's a couple other ukulele covers, and there's an acoustic cover, but we'll end on this one because I did note here that this is the peppiest ukulele cover. Adam Goff's was as well, but a lot of these other ukulele covers, for some reason, I don't know if it's their tuning or how they decided what chords they got, but a lot of them come out kind of like slow and just like that slight twist of being a little darker. But this one Adam Johnson ended up being able to play it on ukulele, not a play along, and have it be really peppy. So here's that.
Sleeping tonight, just come on over. We'll make a butter lettuce salad with all natural ingredients except for cottage cheese. It's from a factory set. Our grocery store will stock their coolers with, and we'll pick up sometimes when we run low. 'Cause I'm nice sleeping tonight. Sit back and watch the sunset work its magic in its own true light. I'm nice sleeping tonight, so come on over. Baby, I'll just slip into the moonlight and catch a trail of stardust in your eyes. Oh, maybe I'll just fall ever more in love with you. Maybe I'll just fall.
I like that, but I did not appreciate his evil satanic witch shirt.
Oh, his Hogwarts shirt?
Yeah.
So all the Adams on ukulele do a good job. I don't want to play any other ones because they're all perfectly fine, but there's some, maybe it's even...
I thought you were going to say because their names aren't Adam.
Their names aren't Adam, but also for some reason they come out just sounding a little bit darker. And maybe it's the strumming, maybe they're strumming slower. Hey, I have a ukulele. I've done a cover of Be Your Man on it. I have a really hard time. I need to find real easy chords to switch if I want to keep the pace up. It's really hard for me to finger that ukulele. So that is Be Your Man. What is this? This is Savannah? Sleepin. This is Sleepin. Sleepin by Relient K from the album Air for Free, 2016. Waiting for that next album. We won't be sleeping tonight until Relient K announces their next album.
We won't be sleeping tonight until we finish editing this podcast.
Well, you can go to sleep, but you never sleep. That's the whole point. So,
do you like this song more, less, or the same, Dan?
I like the song a lot more. I like the song even more. I definitely had heard this song, and this is a song that is a staple of you putting it in playlists over the last couple years. So I've heard this song a bunch, but digging into it a little bit more, and I actually think while on the podcast and figuring out that Savannah connection, and Savannah's one of my favorite songs, really solidifies that this is a song that I like a lot more than I realized.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. So I don't know. Do I like it more than before? Sure. Yeah.
Could you like it any more?
Could I like it any more? Probably.
Yeah, so that's Sleepin'. So hey, if any of our listeners out there sleeping tonight, well, come on over. No, if you're sleeping, then come on over through Dream World. We just wasted 102 minutes of